Hello there. Hey, I'm live today. I'm Lorraine Ellen Scott, and I have a special guest with me today. Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. I'll read a quick bio so everyone can kind of get to know who you are and what amazingness you're sharing in the world. So, for over 26 years, Jonathan Bender has helped thousands of spiritually oriented professionals, healers, introverts, empaths to be confident, authentic, and dynamic speakers who change the lives with just their presence. And his work blends professional speaking skills with performance techniques like acting, voice, and movement, as well as spiritual growth and personal development. And he's also a theater professional and he holds a graduate degree in both communication and performance and is the creator of The Path of Connection. Welcome, Jonathan. So great to have you here.
Thank you, Lorraine. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you speak directly to me when you talk of all of that. I wish I met you years ago. I've had to learn things a little bit the hard way, but you know what? Sometimes that's the best way, right? So what got you into coaching? Clearly you've been doing it a while.
I've actually been coaching since high school. um, I joined my high school speech and debate team doing the speaking and acting events when I was a freshman, and I was the captain of the speech team for all throughout high school, and then again at college at Berkeley. And so I've actually been coaching others in public speaking and performance since I was probably 16 or so.
Wow.
And now
So
I say often 1996 because that's when I've been officially paid, but but I'm doing it even for a lot longer than
I love it. Well, you have to have that practicum part, right? Just a few decades of practicum. I love that. So, one of the things that was really when we started connecting and talking that attracted me to what you do is that you bring in that personal development piece, which is something that I've been doing as well, just in the business coaching side of things. I love that personal development is huge for entrepreneurs because it integrates everything that we do, our life, our business. So one thing I wanted to ask you about is how did you incorporate that as being an energy practice? Because I think you're an energy practitioner as well, right?
that. Yeah. Yeah, I've been an energy practitioner also since I was 14. That kind of just came in at that time. I think it's useful to know, by the way, that I was not born like a speaker performer, or I was very shy, very disempowered, and no self-esteem, and so this was a big part of my path as well. But I've also, yeah, I started working as an energy practitioner when I was 14. Kind of found that I could see and feel energy. I kind of just knew I had a natural aptitude for healing, which I discovered at band camp with a girl I had a crush on when I was 14. And like, wow, the pain went away when I waved my hands around for a minute, just trusting the process. And so since then, I've been trained in various um, energy techniques and breathing techniques, all of things over the years. But I want to say too that there's a lot of emphasis in both public speaking as well as in like business coaching on outer techniques, and those are crucial. Like you have to know how to use your voice, you have to know how to market. However, what I've often found is that more people tend to know those things, but they're not doing the work inside, or they're not being held through the deep inner process and transformation needed to be able to fully bring ourselves out there, to be seen, and to know that we are enough, or in some cases, that we're not too much.
Yeah, that and yeah, like you say, too much. I think for me as well, I was quite shy growing up, and if I'm around the right people or can feel the energy that's supportive, I feel like that's my comfort zone. And I believe my philosophy is that we can take our comfort zone with us no matter what we do as someone who relates to introvert being an introvert and introvert energy and an empath. So I really believe that sometimes if we put ourselves out there and there's that awkwardness, we feel like we're being too much because we're not used to projecting so much. So I know that there's a lot of nervousness and a lot of fear that comes with that. So can you speak more about that?
Sure. So I love the idea that there's a portable comfort zone, and also one of the things that I like to teach is that when we start to grow our self-expression, it is also a process of self-expansion, and we begin to grow our comfort zone, and it actually becomes larger than it was before as we get used to new situations. However, for a lot of people with public speaking, they kind of just suffer a lot through it, and they put themselves in a situation, they just do it over and over in practice, and it really is not fun for a long time. And then finally they say, okay, after doing this for this long period of time, I got used to it and now I'm more comfortable. Or you can get more skills and training and practice and community, and then you organically grow your comfort
Yeah.
and a lot
Yeah, I
faster.
love that. Well, that's the key is doing it a lot faster too. Because I know a lot of the extroverts out there are always saying to me, "Oh, you can't take your comfort. You got to get out of your comfort zone." And I'm like, "No, just bring it, expand it." But there's
Yeah.
more to it than that. There's that sustainability. That's
Mm.
a big piece. And you know, how do we? Okay, so I have a question. You talked
Mhm.
about that dynamic presence. So, how do we begin to even understand if that's possible for us?
I think it's useful first to break down what presence is. And it's something that I look at extremely holistically, and I like to have a couple of different definitions of it. So, first of all, presence is the act of being fully present. So, that's being in our body, physically present, embodied. It's being emotionally open and present to what's happening internally and externally. It's being mentally present and not wanting to check out, and also growing our energetic presence as well. And the more that you
Mm,
grow all of those, in addition to having a vocal presence, and so that your
right.
voice is a reflection of your being that you're bringing out, that is one way that we really create presence. Another way that I like to define presence is that, well, it's actually qualities that I found over the years were really true. That if someone was completely relaxed and really open and deeply connected, both connected with themselves and connected with others, that those two things combined create a very strong quality of presence.
Hmm. Yes.
So
It's
when you grow
very
those a little bit at a
holistic.
time, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
um, so there you take people through a process in the work that you do, right?
mhm.
So people can be at any stage. Like I know some people they find it easier to feel physically comfortable, but then they're not really sure how to project their voice or so it doesn't you don't all have to be starting at the same on the same path, but you guide everybody through specific steps.
Yeah, there are a number of steps. The other thing too is that we might be physically comfortable by ourselves, but we might notice, especially for people who are introverted, who are empathic. I'm a huge empath, and I know all about the patterns of introversion, although it's a longer story there too. Is that often when we're around others, that we either tend to lose ourselves, or we kind of like brace and tense and tighten in a way that we might be really relaxed by ourselves or around people we're really comfortable with or very familiar surrounding. But it's different when we are with others, especially speaking to a large group or even a large social situation. I like to look at these skills not just for speaking but really for our whole lives. And for some people they do this work because they just want to have a stronger presence and find their voice in their life. And for others, they're looking to speak, to teach workshops, to facilitate, and just apply these techniques, even if they're doing like one-on-one work with people. So
Yeah, and I think it's so important that you're doing this work because in order to grow as an entrepreneur, you do need to it's some form or fashion you need to speak. You need to either, be doing interviews, you need to be telling the world what you do. Maybe it's just videos or Facebook lives, but I really feel that in order to grow, you do. And we speak all the time. We speak all the time, just one-on-one conversations, and how you embody that. Are you someone who is always tense and what am I going to say? What do I, I know it that as an introvert trait, that's one thing that I've had to work on is not be thinking in my head about formulating what I'm going to say, but being present and listening and being an organic part of the conversation. So it really boils down to confidence. Really, it distills down, in my opinion. So
Well, confidence is also something that really can be learned. And by the way, too, in terms of that bracing around others, or is that obviously, as for introverts, it can result from exhaustion, losing energy, but it also can just be the fear of that. If we're nervous, that's going to happen. So,
yeah, talk
um,
ourselves into it.
right, it doesn't actually have to be that way. What I started finding for many years ago is that my clients would say, "Hey, I'm not just a good speaker now. I enjoy going to parties." That there are, because I teach energy techniques that help people run energy a little bit differently. So so this is true for anyone. And I probably 90% of my clients would call themselves introverts. So it's generally who I work with. But would it be helpful to mention briefly kind of how you grow confidence?
Sure, that would be
So,
great. I mean, everybody needs every little tip you can get.
so there's 5 things involved, and that I find really contribute. And the first is understanding that nervousness, whether you call it nerves or fear or dread or discomfort, it's from the nervous system. And so this is happening in the body. And that means we're often looking at the fight, flight, freeze response. It also could be, fawn or analyzed, or there's other ways that manifest, but especially fight, flight, freeze. And for any type of speaking with others, public or otherwise, we're really looking at freeze. Now, because this is happening in the body, and we know that because the things that arise when we're in freeze could be not thinking clearly because the blood is flowing away from the prefrontal cortex to other parts of the brain, to turning red, to the heart beating fast, to dry mouth, to shaking, and all those really exciting things that we all dread. Um, is that we can transform it through the body. So I'm very somatically oriented, have a lot of training in that. So we can move out of the nervous system and find this deeper level of relaxation and grow that as a habit so that it's part of you, so that you have that when you need it. Another thing is that we're often afraid of something going wrong, of being judged, and or forgetting something. And so we have a negative mindset. And when we transform that to a growth mindset, and we understand things like people actually want us to be great, they're not looking to be bored or for us to ramble on, or they want us to be good. And but also a growth mindset, meaning that we're not like letting our inner critic run the show, but instead looking at what can we continue to do better and how to grow ourselves, and acknowledging what we've changed and that's doing really well. So those are 2 things, the body and the mind. And another one is that we want to be consistent. Sometimes people are great, sometimes, and not another. And to change that, you have to know how to warm up. So
Mm.
having a clear warm up routine that is physical, mental, emotional, vocal, getting the talk ready in the right way is crucial. And when you have that, then that also changes things. The fourth one that I can state is that, well, think of it this way. For any professional field, generally you have some sort of credential. You've had undergone training. No one would stand up in court trying to be a lawyer without having a law degree. Generally, a doctor who practices without a medicine degree is going to get a lot of trouble and hurt people. The same thing, even for energy healer who's doing it professionally, or a massage therapist, or you name it, or coach. And so, however, for public speaking, we think we should be able to get up and do that
Mm.
because because we see others do it. And public speaking is an art and a science. So these are things that you really are trained in, and there's a specific steps to learn. And so it's something I've established over the years is the science of it, exactly what you need to learn and how to really embody that, not just knowing what to do. It's not in the head, it's in the body.
Mm.
And also the art of it is you get to be you. It's not trying to be like me or someone else who you admire. And when you have that amount of competence, that also increases confidence. The
Wow.
last element of the five is being able to trust yourself that no matter what happens, because the one guarantee when you are talking with others in your life or when public speaking is that things aren't always going to go as you expect. It's live, it's not a recording.
That's for sure.
And so what you need to do that is presence. One of the aspects of presence is the capacity to be able to respond to whatever is happening. And when you grow that and you practice it, I find that element, along with the other, all of them, at least five aspects, the body, the mind, the warm up, competence, and presence, together holistically, organically create a level of confidence that my clients tell me over and over and over throughout the years that this is a complete game changer. And that when the big event came that they were so nervous about, they weren't even nervous.
Wow. Wow. I mean, on the outside, it's like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. And everything you said made sense. It's common sense. It's like, yeah. And it doesn't have to be that, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I feel that you probably do help people and coach people in such a way that you're incorporating all of it in one fluid motion.
Totally. And those five things, those are all part of the same thing. So they're almost different lenses. So, for
Yeah.
example, to get competence, you're learning exercises a little bit at a time, which get part of you and become part of your warm up routine. And some of those exercises around the embodiment that transforms the nerves, or they're around presence. And so it's actually a lot simpler than it may sound. That's really just knowing a little bit step by step is what the game changer is.
Yeah, oh, I love that. And when I work with people, I use a lot of tapping, so that
Mhm.
addresses that physical response and the the nervous system getting in there, also getting in our heads. I think that is a big thing that stopped me for the longest time. Always seeing the negative side of things,
Right.
thinking that knowing that is going to help me, when in effect it made it worse. So I
Right.
love this. Like, how can people work with you more? Because I feel that so many people are just going to be jumping on, asking me that. Where? How can I get more? Tell me more.
I
We
have a
need for
workshop coming up.
Jonathan.
The easiest way is I have a workshop coming up um, that I'm doing a few different times this month called Sacred Speaking: Practical Tools for Introverts, Empaths, and Spiritual Seekers to Awaken Their Voice and Presence. And so this will expand a lot on what we have talked about today. And from there, by the way, like I have longer trainings. I have one coming up called The Voice of Presence, and another that's more of a public speaking course called Claim Your Voice. And that'll be an opportunity to be able to hear about those from there. So I think you have a
Mm.
link that you'd be able to provide that they can click on.
Yeah, I do, and I think that's fantastic because for one, it comes at a really good time. I know the beginning of the year, people jump on the bandwagon. It's the new year, new year, new you, all this that sort of thing. And I feel that this is the perfect opportunity for people to take that gentle step forward into what they really need moving forward. And what I love about it is that you call it sacred speaking, because right there, to me, it has an element of spirituality. and
Mhm.
and to me, especially working with empaths more so than introverts, that's how I got into things with doing my Reiki master teaching. I feel that that is such an embodiment in what it is we do, is that spirituality piece, and it seems to be something that it kind of wraps you in this gentle hug, that says it's going to be okay. So
Right. Well, for me,
and
the part of the thing about the spirituality, I'm not prescriptive about it. I work with various traditions and practices, is that it's not just about like growing our skills, it's about growing ourselves and into stepping
yeah.
more of who we truly are and letting really our light come through us and shine that out, not in some sort of kind of intangible way, but in a very practical, real way that we feel much better as a speaker, but we also are able to deliver a message with far greater power and efficacy because of that.
Yes, I love it because it allows people to shine their light through their lenses in the way that Nobody else can. And I think the only way to really do that is you can't learn by just watching. You have to learn by embodying it, by having that coaching that you provide that really, and it's in a group setting as well, which really, to me, I mean, as an introvert, it's like, "Oh, I'll do it by myself." Not anymore. I feel that it's so important to have that like-minded, creative energy. Everybody is open to, I don't know, to just be vulnerable, I guess is the first step, is allowing that vulnerability is a strength in itself. So, yeah.
Vulnerability is actually an essential part of confidence. And
Mm,
it's not about being overconfident. It's that being okay, being vulnerable, and being confident in that vulnerability, knowing maybe I'll say something differently than I normally do, and I can adjust that, or or just like really sharing myself, and that's
I
essential.
love it.
So we can embrace that as a gift rather than a liability.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much. Elaine, I want to say thank you too. She's been in the comments commenting away. I just wanted to jump in. I didn't want to interrupt Jonathan because he had so much good stuff to say. So thank you so much for watching, Elaine. And thank you, Jonathan. I'm excited for your workshop. And I love that you have various times. So what works for people. So I popped the link in there and I hope people will jump in because this is super powerful. Super powerful. Do you have anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
The one reminder that I like to give is that because there is a lot of often this like feeling that comes up for people, whether that's public speaking or just really sharing themselves, is to know that it truly can be easy. And that when we step into that, we really step into our embodiment and our purpose and our into our life in a whole other way. And we also create greater transformation. And so whether you're doing it for your own journey or for others, I encourage whoever is listening to like choose that it can really be easier than you might sometimes imagine.
I love that. Yes. And exciting because you're
Yeah.
tapping
And
into
fun.
a part of you that, that just, you don't even know how good it can be. I love it.
So,
Thank you, Jonathan, for being here. I appreciate you so much. It's
no, thanks
been
for
fun
having me.
getting to know you. Okay. All right, everybody, sign up for this workshop. You got a choice of 3, and it's going to be fantastic. So have a great day. Peace.